Some of the biggest and fastest gains that you can make during a crypto bull market come from investing in brand new tokens. Coins that have just gone live or are about to go live in the coming days that have a whitelist that you can invest in early. Like Peak Network that went up nearly 283% in just the last couple of weeks. Therefore, in this video, I'm going to tell you about the 4 hottest crypto projects that are launching in the next few days that I think give us some of the best opportunity for some big gains in the short term. So hit the like button and let's get into today's video. Now guys, if you've been in crypto over the last 6 to 12 months, you're probably thinking that brand new crypto coins haven't been doing particularly well. And you'd be right, because ever since March and April, a lot of those crypto projects saw some significant downside. But right now things are different. You see, those projects saw downside because there was not enough liquidity to support all the hype and excitement. Those projects launched with big valuations, but there wasn't enough people entering in to keep them up there and push them higher. However, now things are different because there's a lot more retail investors in the space. You and me are retail investors. We typically come in and we buy into new projects that are very exciting. And therefore, if we can identify what a good project that's launched recently looks like, then we're going to find some success of our own. Now, Peak Network launched back on the 12th of November, and you can see that it did have a bit of a pullback, but I'm going to help you in this video to identify how you can buy into areas like this down here before we see a quick shift back up. 285% in this case, that happened in just a couple of weeks. So before we go and talk about those 4 new projects, let's think about why Peak has been so successful so that we can then go and find the next one that is going to do the same as what Peak has. Now, Peak is a DePIN project. It launched with a pretty big market cap, but that shouldn't necessarily be too big a concern in a bull market because of some other factors I'll tell you about in a moment. Now, first of all, what narrative is Peak in? Well, it's in DePIN. And obviously, I've been pretty interested in telling you about how I'm interested in real world assets, AI, as well as GameFi, but DePIN is another very obvious play within this bull market. It's pretty new, it's pretty trendy, and people can easily understand it. So to help you easily understand it, let's think about what Peak Network really does. Well, you can see it says here it's powering the machine economy. DePIN is effectively linking the real world with the blockchain in various different types of ways. But let's think of a scenario of an app that might get built on Peak Network. Every single day you're driving around town and your car is seeing lots of different information that could be fed into a central network. For example, you're stuck in traffic. It would be great if Google Maps knew about that car crash that had happened just 30 seconds ago in front of you, but it doesn't because there's not always a car with a Google camera driving around. However, if we all had our smartphone on the dash, watching for what was going on, we could then feed some information back into that ecosystem to give it real world access at any given time to what is going on. That ecosystem can then pay me a reward for feeding that information back. And that's actually a project that's been built on Peak. Other ones might be me having a place outside my house that you could come and charge your electric vehicle. Now that's great because obviously I can then earn a reward for you charging your car, and it means that you don't have to go somewhere inconvenient to be able to do it, but you can do it at your convenience within the neighborhood or wherever it might be. This takes it away from centralized authority, and this is why DePIN's such a cool thing. And since in that very simple description you probably now realize what Peak Network's doing, it makes it one that we can probably invest in as retail investors because it's not too complex. In my opinion, you shouldn't go and invest in things that are too difficult to understand, because the people who you need to buy that bag from you and push that price higher are going to understand less than you, but they're still going to want to invest in stuff that they kind of understand to at least some degree. And first up in the projects that are going live very soon is Lingo. So Lingo is going to go live on the 12th of December. Right now it is the 9th of December, so this coin is going to go live in 72 hours time. So for those of you who are down below being like, where can I buy it? How do I buy it? Relax, okay? Have a deep breath. You will be able to buy this coin, but not for 3 days. And later on in this video, I'll give you an exchange and tell you where you're going to be able to purchase this coin as well as any other coin pretty much out there in crypto. Now, why Lingo? Well, Lingo is in the real world asset narrative, and I've talked about this on my channel multiple times. Real world assets are one of the key areas to look into. I've actually made a video on it here the other day, talking about why BlackRock is such an integral part of this bull market, whether you like it or not, mainly because they now own over 2% of Bitcoin, but also because they're driving the narrative of ETF. They're also investing heavily in tokenization of assets. Therefore, real world assets, every time Larry Fink, the CEO of BlackRock, talks, will go up in value. It's pretty much inevitable that real world assets will be a key element of this bull market that will benefit significantly from a bit of hype media and attention. And if you missed that video the other day and you want to understand more about different narratives, niches, coins and things that I'm personally buying into and understand them in depth so that you're going to be able to buy coins in confidence by understanding really what they're all doing, then make sure you're subscribed to the House of Crypto, because later on this week, I'm going to give you a top DePIN pick video. I'm going to give you another video about how to find the best entries on coins so that you can stop asking whether you're too late to buy this coin or that coin, or whether it's a good time to buy this. Just subscribe to the House of Crypto, notification bell turned on, and I'm going to teach you all those things. Now, let's have a think about why Lingo is quite cool. We already know that real world assets are going to do well. Particularly, we've seen Ondo, OM Mantra doing well. They've got massive billion-dollar-plus investment partners. Coming across to the Twitter page and coming down here, you can see that they have just announced that they have a partnership with Stewards Investment Capital, which is a firm worth over $1 billion. This is a big tick to have in the real-world asset world. Not only that, but Lingo is actually slightly different from some of the other real-world asset platforms out there. Okay, it's not doing a tokenized marketplace. It is, in fact, encouraging users to go and invest in Lingo tokens. They then use those funds to go and buy things like penthouses in Dubai, hotels, islands, holiday resorts, you name it. Okay, they're going out there and buying real world asset items so that investors in the Lingo token will be able to earn rewards from all of the different assets that are being owned. And this is quite cool because it's basically saying, well, we're going to go and do things that were typically only ever open to billionaires, and we're going to give you, the kind of normal real people out there in the world, the opportunity to be able to make those same rewards. But they've also done something else that's been very instrumental in kind of growing a community, and that is by encouraging users to invest, not just because they're going to earn like cash rewards, but also reward them with various other different kind of like partner benefits. Okay, so bringing you into this whole ecosystem, encouraging you to interact with the ecosystem and earn various different types of rewards. And that's one thing that's allowed them to grow a Twitter page of nearly 655,000 followers, which is another very key element for finding a new project that has high potential. Because remember, there are 654,000 people who now know when the launch of Lingo is on the 12th of December because they're all paying attention. And while there was a pre-sale that went on kind of earlier in the year, a lot of people are still wanting to get in on this particular token, and there is a lot of hype and excitement around it, which is what there was with Peak, and that will cause a lot of people to go and ape into this. And look, Peak had 277,000 followers on Twitter, and that was a big element of their success. Okay, so big ecosystem that allows you to have lots of potential buyers who are interested in this particular platform. Also, another thing to pay attention to is all these kind of key big names. It's also the coolest website pretty much going. And look as well, go down below, another thing, big VCs, big partnerships, again, very key. Okay, Binance, Google, Microsoft, Consensus. I believe it's backed by Binance Labs. If it's backed by Binance, it's going to be going live on Binance. It seems to be going live across Solana, Base, and various others, which means it's obviously going to handle that interoperability piece. So in my opinion, this is 100% one to be checking out, but don't just like switch off this video now, because I'm going to teach you later on how to enter into these coins, because as soon as it goes live, you don't want to necessarily buy any of these coins on day one, but there's a great way to identify whether it's the right time or not. Now on to the next project. Again, a DePIN project, Impossible Cloud Network. Again, DePIN project, but it's focusing towards the kind of cloud infrastructure stuff. What kind of cloud infrastructure do you already use? Things like Google Cloud, okay? Things like Amazon Web Services, things like Dropbox. All these things you're using are kind of expensive. Also, they're not particularly secure, and perhaps centralized authorities then have access to all the information that's in them. Do you really want to be giving away all your secrets to Google or whoever it is? Also, other things that have happened in the past, when people have hacked Google Cloud, people have lost passwords, people have lost things like keychains for their MetaMask and stuff like that. So this is another thing that's very important. Impossible Cloud Network is basically like a whole cloud ecosystem designed to be able to go and compete with Amazon Web Services. It's already got multiple billion uploads. So that's another key thing that I want to add as we go through this. Key narrative, key partners, big ecosystem in terms of followers and social media influence, and actively being used. That's another very important thing when it comes to crypto that's going to get people pretty interested in what's going on. Now, while at the moment they're not offering a token sale, they are offering these nodes, which allows you to buy a node and support the network to be able to earn tokens. And if you want to find out about that, obviously come across to icn.global and have a look into that more. But I personally haven't spent much time looking into this. So obviously do your own research. If you've been investing in nodes and you understand that, then fine. But, you know, if you're newer and you're not sure about it, then probably just stay away for now. Now, one thing that's got me feeling pretty confident about ICN and Impossible Cloud Network is actually by looking at the facts and figures that they've got over on their Twitter page. One, they already have quite a big following, although not as big as the other ones we've looked at. But coming down below, you can see for the node sale that they've been running, they've sold 27,858 nodes, which is a lot. That tells me that there's a lot of people out there who are very bullish on this project. And when it comes to actually buying and investing into the tokens, that again is something that we can then think might be pretty exciting. Another thing as well, look at the exponential growth of the annual rate of return. This is what makes a lot of DePIN projects really exciting. they're actually making money, which is kind of weird in crypto, because usually we're just investing in the hopes and dreams and the excitement of that particular meme coin that's gone live or whatever it is. But a lot of DePIN projects are actually making money. This one's going at 9.8x in terms of rate of return every 6 months. If that continues, this could well be one of the top crypto projects of the future. Who knows? Okay, but getting into this early could be an interesting one. So I recommend with any of these projects, just go and give them a follow, hit the notification bell, and just keep up to date with when these projects are launching, what's going on with them. And if you don't know when they're launching, you don't need to ask me every day, okay? Because I know a lot of people love to do that. Just go to their Twitter pages and follow. And when they know that they're going to launch, they're going to tell you. I promise you that. Typically, they don't know when they're going to launch, which is why I haven't done it yet, but they're going to be launching probably, by the look of it, Q4, end of Q4, or early next year. Now, before I get into the last two projects, which are pretty exciting and ones I definitely think you should stick around for, a lot of people will be going, where do I buy it? How do I buy it? Well, obviously you need to wait for the actual launch date, but very typically, a lot of these projects will launch on various exchanges, but all of them will typically be available on MEXC, because MEXC hosts over 4,500 different crypto coins. That makes it the exchange that has the most coins available anywhere. Not only that, it has some of the lowest fees across crypto. And if you use my link down below in the description, you can also access this $12 million prize pool. And you can also maybe win this supercar, which I personally don't know what it is, but obviously that makes it exciting, right? But this is an exchange I personally use every day along with Bitunix, but I can almost guarantee that for every new project that they're going to be available maybe on OKX, maybe on Binance, but almost definitely on MEXC. Now on to the next one, and this list wouldn't be complete without AI cryptos. This one is Rivalz AI, and this one's going to be launching pretty soon as well. World abstraction layer for AI. Now, what is going on with AI right now is important, because lots of new crypto projects, lots of projects outside of crypto really want to implement AI into what they're doing, whether that's in games, whether that's in like e-com websites or whatever. But there's a problem. It can be quite tricky unless you're like a developer who is experienced in using AI to implement AI tools. And that's what an abstraction layer for AI is. Basically, it extracts all the cool, interesting, useful things that AI does, and it allows you to just drag and drop and put them in your websites, okay? Just to simplify what that might mean. And Rivalz is one of the most exciting projects to be launching and doing this. They raised a huge amount of funds from various tier 1 venture capital funds. Okay, tier 1 venture capital funds, of which there is just a few of them, tier 1 venture capital funds have won a lot of money and a lot of experience in investing in some of the top projects out there. And I know that lots of people hate VC coins because they're like, oh, the VCs will steal all our money. They will in markets when there's not much volume. But as soon as that liquidity is there, guess what? The VCs will pump their funds into these coins. They cause that FOMO. And that's why investing in newer projects, which have big VC funding, isn't a bad move in the slightest. Now, coming down below and seeing the ecosystem, you can see that they are partnered up with some absolute monsters out there in crypto. Aether, they've got Shrapnel, one of the biggest gaming projects. Got Puffer, which is one that we talked about the other day, that's been making inroads in the staking and lending world over on Ethereum. You got Manta Network, etc. That's something else that's worth noting. Again, they seem to have a validator node sale available. If you want to go and find out more about the nodes, then do it. I haven't really paid too much attention to node sales right now because there's so much opportunity in the live crypto markets. But node sales do give you a good opportunity to earn like passive rewards into the future if you find the right ones. Now, in terms of other things you want to learn about with some of these projects, go across their Twitter pages. Not only do you look at how kind of big their followings are, how active are they, come down below and have a look at some of the other key elements. We've just talked about node sales here. Okay, so you can see they sold out tier 1 and tier 2 nodes. They've now got tier 3 live nodes. Okay, this means that there is people interested in this project. They're willing to invest in it in form of node sales. That means that once it's actually live, a lot of people who missed out on the actual node sales wanting to be buying the tokens. That's another very important piece to this puzzle. Now, last but not least, and a project that I know is also going live very soon, and in fact has a whitelist coming up. Okay, that's why I've talked about this, because I think it's important to know about whitelist. If you are newer to crypto, you might not have heard this term before, but it's simply like being able to get on a queue jump. So instead of buying the token at like $1 a token or whatever it is, gives you the opportunity to maybe buy in early at like 80 cents or 90 cents, get yourself a discount, and obviously support that project in its early stages of life. Pentagon Games, powering the XR experiences through deep learning and Web3. Now again, is it the right narrative? Gaming, absolutely. We know that gaming is a very key element of this bull market. why the gaming industry is the largest entertainment industry in the world. It's 2 times the revenue of movies. It's like 4 times the revenue of the music industry. It's a no-brainer that this bull market is going to see a lot of growth in the gaming ecosystems, as well as AI, as well as DePIN, as well as real-world assets that I've talked about on all of these different projects. Now, Pentagon Games is built on the Pentagon ZK EVM, which has already got over 1.8 million transactions and has seen a lot of different activity going on. But this is what's key for me. When I look into gaming projects, I'm always a little bit cautious about investing in individual games, and they're from some very strong teams, etc., like My Lovely Planet that I talked about the other day. But it's because if games don't do particularly well, then they're not going to give us a good investment. But if you invest in an ecosystem that has multiple different games and different services available, like being able to provide an EVM for people to build other games on, then it means that you can be successful even if some of your games aren't that great. But some of the most obvious things for me as to why I would be interested in a pre-launch with a coin like this, their team comes from the likes of Microsoft, Sony, Nintendo, Tencent, the list goes on, and they're also partnered with Binance Labs, Animoca brands, etc. So whether or not they go live straight away on Binance is key, but it's worth paying attention to coins that aren't going live on Binance right away, that are actually backed by Binance Labs. And you can find these by going to dropstab.com/Binance-potential. These are all the coins that Binance backed from their VC, but are yet to go live on Binance. I made a video about this the other day. If you were subscribed, you've probably seen that, but this is so key, okay? If you understand that these projects here are likely to list on Binance at some point, then you have in front of yourself some really solid investments. I told you to search by volume. I talked about Puffer the other day. Ever since I talked about it, absolutely exploded towards the upside. I talked about Mavia, Circuit, etc. So if you missed that video, go and check it out. It's this one down here that I made 13 days ago. Okay, go and look at that video. It's going to teach you how to find some winning coins that are backed by Binance Labs, not yet listed on Binance. Now again, Pentagon Games, 502,000 followers. Again, definitely one to be paying attention to, in my personal opinion. And they do have a whitelist live right now. Now, I personally am not sponsored by any of these projects right now. I personally invested in a Lingo pre-sale that was going on back in June. I know a lot of you guys also invested in that Lingo pre-sale. Let me know down below if you've invested in any of these projects already through various pre-sales. But Pentagon Games seems to have a whitelist that I might be interested in joining if it's at the right price. You can see it's over on their Twitter page. Public whitelist now open. Go and have a look into it. If it offers the opportunity to invest at a reasonable discount, let's say a 10 to 20, maybe even 30% discount, then absolutely, in my opinion, it's worth doing that for some of these top projects that are launching very, very soon. But let's find out about the best time to enter into these new projects. I've already told you that when a lot of these new projects go live, something weird happens to these charts. And I know lots of people who are a bit newer to crypto will be like, bro, it's a scam. It dumped on me. I bought the top. The worst thing, and then you sell down here, and then guess what happens? It comes back in your face, and you're like, maybe it wasn't a scam after all. So why does this happen, and what are we going to do about it? Well, this happens because I've already told you lots of venture capital funds are investing in projects down here. Now, for example, a project like Peak, let's say Peak raised money at like a $10 million valuation. But when it was just a couple of guys in their dorm room designing this elaborate crypto project, they never had any money. They raised a valuation of 15 million from people like Binance Labs or Delphi Ventures or whoever it was. They're like, we'll buy 5% of your company for like $1 million or whatever it might be. Okay. And then what happens is lots of other people invest. They start to build up their product until they eventually go live at a valuation of, let's say, 300 million. That means these people down here who gave Peak the money in the very first place, when it was the riskiest time to do that, are now up something like a 25 to 30x. So on day one, when Peak goes live, their original $1 million investment is now worth $300 million. So what then happens is they want to take their initial investment out, and a lot of the selling kind of goes on like this, and it causes this kind of weird bidding war between market makers who are trying to pump the price up, newbies who don't know what they're doing, trying to buy into the price, and all this kind of like drama that causes this big pump and dump on here. But what happens to those people who took out all the money here is they then re-inject it back on the other side, and that's what causes this pump again, and then we get the FOMO from all the retailers pumping it up even higher. Okay, so what we need to realize, we don't want to get in straight off the bat. Now, they can't sell their entire bag down here because most of it is locked up. So when you're looking at coins that are yet to unlock and they have vesting periods and stuff, this is simply what this means. Okay, it's not within the interest of these VCs to dump their entire crypto bag on the day one of launch, because it will probably bankrupt the project and it won't do so well. The VCs want this project to do well, but they do want to take a little bit of risk off the table so they can go and invest in other crypto projects, as well as preserve some capital to invest at this stage. Okay, so they'll take out their 10% on TGE, reinvest it here. So what do we often see in new project launches? And not all projects are the same. Okay, I'll show you a couple of others in a moment. You will see that they will go in, maybe see a big spike like this towards the upside. While you might have turned on MEXC and see this spike like this, I typically would advise buying into that spike, because you do tend to get cool-offs. Don't FOMO, even though it might be very damn tempting because it suddenly goes up 200% on a day or 300%. Don't FOMO. Okay, you're better than that. Hopefully by now I've taught you not to FOMO. Wait, because typically after this happens, you start to get downfalls, and you see that we get these lower highs. Okay, let me go to a 4 hour, make it clearer. We get lower highs. So what we got on any chart is we got highs like this, and we got lows. So this is highs and lows, and you can see these are lower highs. Okay, lower highs, and down below, lower lows. This is a downtrend. On the flip side, on an uptrend, you get higher highs, higher lows. What we want to wait for is the trend to turn from a downtrend into an uptrend. Guess what? There are some projects probably that will just go straight up like that, and you have to accept that you missed them. Don't worry about that. It's very unlikely, very good chance that they will eventually pop back down like this. Okay, so what you can see on this one, we have the lower highs each time, lower highs. This does go up, but it still, you can see it doesn't break the high, it still goes lower, lower lows. Okay, until something all of a sudden happens. This is the lowest high. We then get a break back above that lower high. Okay, so we flip from downtrend into uptrend. Do you see the difference? Okay, mark the high here. You can see it dips again, and then it comes back up to this high. You don't want to buy in at any point on this because you don't know when it's going to stop. Eventually it will stop. It will create a base. Usually you get a big candle in the other direction that indicates that it's going to turn around, and then you get the high changes. Suddenly you get the break from the lower high into a higher high. You get this low, you get a higher low, and we move into a new trend. This makes this area here a much safer area to enter into peak than down here or up there. Why is it safer than down here? Because you never knew. You didn't know it didn't do this. Okay, so get in on this area like this, where instead you could have got in up there. You're now going to be, what, 60% better off. And this was only a couple of days, okay? And then from there, you can see, from the, 24th of November till the 8th of December, it went up near enough 200%, which is 14 days. 2 weeks, you could have made 185% on Peak Network, rather than all the people here who have been break even and now just about break even. Okay, so there are people who would have bought in there, and today they're up 2.16%, and they would have sat in some downside stress, and they probably would have sold the dip anyway, down 60%, because it's pretty stressful. Okay, so don't buy the peak and the excitement. Just wait a minute. I mean the peak of this, okay, not the peak with the Q. That's kind of an annoying one, right? Here you can see not all new coins are the same, okay, but again, Zirkit, it pumped all the way up here, aggressively pulled back down. Now, interestingly, it doesn't go into a downtrend after that big one there, okay, so you can then sort of wait patiently, see what happens. If it kind of steadies itself and then it breaks higher like this, then maybe you've got a coin that is going to go more or less straight up. But anything that's kind of come down pretty aggressively like that and is giving you lower highs, then that's a cause for concern. Here you can see we get higher highs. Okay, that tells us we're in an uptrend. So yeah, somewhere around them wouldn't have been a bad entry. Yes, you've kind of pulled back into this area. Unforeseen, you could have just tipped on like that. But either way, this is looking like a pretty solid coin. And I'm talking about after you've done your research. Don't go and ape into Zirkit and Peak right now. Go and look at those projects, decide whether or not they're decent, whether you want to be involved. Here's another example. Puffer launched more recently. Launched back on when? 15th of October. What happened after the 15th of October? It pulls back a massive 74%. Okay, again, you would have bought in probably after it breaks its downtrend. So you go from the highs, the lower highs here. You can see this is the first time that we're breaking back above there. So you probably would have got in somewhere around here, okay, if you were doing the same technique. Now, it would have been flat for a while for Puffer. But again, if you'd bought the top, you would still be down, 16% right now. But instead, if you'd bought where I've now worked out after breaking the downtrend, you would be up 163%. You get the difference, okay? This is what being patient gets you. This is what having a little understanding of charts gets you, okay? all the projects I've talked about today. Go and look into them, have a look. Don't buy them if you don't want them. If you want to buy them, happy days. The first one to launch is Lingo, I believe, on the 12th of December, just a couple of days ago. Pentagon, you seem to be able to get on a whitelist. However, I think the token will go live on the 16th of December. ICN, TBC, Rivalz, TBC. Keep paying attention to their Twitter pages and find out for yourself when they're going to go live. Guys, I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, found it useful, etc., hit that like button. If you're new to the channel and you want to continue to upgrade your knowledge about cryptocurrency and make some big gains during this bull market, then subscribe to the House of Crypto, and I'll see you very soon in another video. Bye-bye.